बनाना है, ड्रैगेबल बनाना है। और ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप क्या है? व्हाट विल बी ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप आइडियली? व्हाट डू यू गाइस थिंक? इवेंट। ठीक है। सो अगर ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप एक इवेंट है, इफ ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप इज एन इवेंट, तो इवेंट तो लिसन किया जा सकता है। हाँ या ना? बोलो भाई, करा जा सकता है नहीं करा जा सकता है? तो क्यों ना उसी बेसिस पे कुछ चीजें बनाई जाए, है ना? चलो ठीक है, बात करना स्टार्ट करते हैं। सेकंड, ऑब्सीडियन ओपन कर लेता हूँ मैं। Okay. Now, in order to make sure that we are able to complete this tier list application, a very important part is going to be drag and drop. And drag and drop in itself is an event. Okay. Understanding more events like drag and drop. Okay. So drag and drop will be an event in the DOM because it will be based on user actions. Right? User actions. Okay. Now, in order to understand drag and drop, there is a very important HTML attribute that we have to talk about called as draggable. Draggable. You can see there is a HTML attribute that comes along with most of the HTML elements called as draggable. Now, what is draggable? The draggable attribute is an enumerated attribute. Enumerated attribute means it will take kind of like a string value, enum value, that indicates whether the element can be dragged or not. So if you want to make an element draggable, right? If you want to make an element draggable, you have to use the draggable attribute altogether. Can you see? Because it will tell the browser whether the element is draggable or not. Okay. To make an element capable of being dragged from one part to other, we have to use the draggable attribute. This attribute defines whether the element is draggable or not. Okay, draggable or not. And it's an enumerated attribute. Enumerated attribute means it's an enumerated attribute, meaning wherever we, or I would say in whatever HTML tag we are defining this attribute, we have to manually give it a true or false value as a string. Right? You have to manually give a true or false value as a string. You can see there's a proper warning also mentioned that the attribute is enumerated and not Boolean. That means it's not like its presence and not presence is the factor that enables or disables this attribute. A value of true and or false is mandatory. And a shorthand like this is forbidden. You cannot do something like this. A shorthand like this is forbidden. You cannot do something like this. The correct usage is draggable is equals to double quote false or double quote true. This warning we have to keep in mind. This warning we have to keep in mind altogether. Okay. According to MDN. Right. According to MDN. Right. The shorthand like this is forbidden. And correct usage is draggable is equals to false. Correct usage is this is equals to false. Okay. So this warning we will keep in mind. This warning we are gonna keep in mind altogether. Right? Okay. Cool. Now let's try to see where we can actually add this draggable. Now the question that should come to your mind is where can we add this draggable in our code? In our code. Now just think about it. Based on our code, which part is going to be draggable? These Captain America or Avenger images are going to be draggable, right? And where are these present? These are present here. Can I say that? These are present here, right? So the div which is containing the image, should be made draggable. Can I say that? So I'll say that inside the non-tier section, we are having a lot of divs with class item container. These divs are going to contain images of our tier items, which needs to be made draggable. So ideally, these divs should be given the draggable is equals to true attribute. Okay, so these divs should be given draggable equals to true attribute. So how it should look like? We should be having a section, right? We'll be having a section. Inside this section, we'll be having multiple such divs, right? We'll be having multiple such divs. Each div will be having a class container, and we will say draggable is equals to true. Okay. And then there will be some image and more divs like this only will be added. More divs like this only we are going to technically add. Okay. So ideally what should happen is we need to give this as draggable is equals to true. Draggable is equals to true. But there is one problem. These item containers we are creating on the go whenever the user fills this form. Okay. But these item container divs we are creating on the go using JS whenever the user fills the form with an image URL, right? Okay. That means the newly created divs which are made using JavaScript should also contain these attributes, right? So where are the newly contained divs? These are the newly contained image divs, right? These image divs also need to have this attribute. But have we written any code where we are adding this attribute? No. That's where a new function, set attribute, comes into the picture. Set attribute function. Okay, so there's a function called a set attribute. Let me very quickly show you. Set attribute. Okay, so on any HTML element, you can call get attribute or set attribute. When you call get attribute and you pass the name of the attribute, it will return you the value of that attribute. And if you call set attribute with two parameters, name and value, then whatever is the name that you mention, it will add that attribute name and give the corresponding value. For example, if here I say image div dot set attribute draggable as true, the moment I save it, right? The moment I save it, and let's turn up the server. I guess my server is down. Okay, just a second. Let me expand this. Okay, just a second. Where is my live server option? Oh, it's not coming. One second, I guess I need to move it here. Okay, now I have turned up the server. Let's wait. Just a second, let's wait a bit. Just a second, guys. I guess there's a lag. 1 minute. Yeah, 1 second, 1 second. Let me check what happened to the machine. Just a minute, guys. I guess my Zoom is hanging a bit. 1 second. Just allow me a minute. Yeah, I guess it was because of Zoom. Just a second. I guess there is still some lag.